Hello, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. Sit down, please. I'd like to speak English today too, to improve my speaking skill. Let's get it started. Today, it is January 19th, 2023. It's on Thursday today, and sunny outside. How are you spending today? How are you spending on Thursday? Are you working or studying? Or do you have a day off today? Which day do you prefer in a day? Which day do you prefer or do you like the best in a week from Monday to Sunday? I think most of the people feel happiest Friday night because Saturday and Sunday are or usually day offs for many people, including salaried workers and students. But some people also study and work on weekends too. It depends on the shift and schedule. Hmm. I cannot understand how the spacecraft is taking the balance so that it won't fall or going out of the orbit. It's taken balanced. It's taken balanced. I cannot understand. It's beyond the reach of my understanding. I cannot understand how it is calculated so that its spacecraft will not go out of the orbit or fall to the Earth. Hmm. Hmm. How many debris in the orbit? How many debris are there in the orbit? How many debris? How many debris are there in the orbit? 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 It said there are many orbital debris, rubbles, in the universe, in the space, in the cosmos. Orbital activity, orbital operation, orbital operations, orbiter, 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 orbital junk, orbital rubbles, orbital debris, orbital debris. The scientists are discussing how to remove orbital debris. The scientists are discussing how to remove the debris, rubbles, junks, and so on. Orbital junks. The scientists are discussing how to remove the orbital junks, orbital debris, orbital rubbles. The scientists are discussing how to remove orbital debris from the cosmos. From the cosmos. The scientists are discussing how to remove orbital debris from the cosmos, universe, space, outer space. How many orbitals are there? How many orbitals are there? How many orbitals? How many orbitals are there in the cosmos? How many orbitals are there in the Earth atmosphere, in the Earth orbit? How many orbitals are there in the Earth orbit? Can I see the orbiter from the Earth with naked eyes? Or do I have to use a telescope to see it? Can I see orbiter from the Earth with naked eyes without using a telescope? Can I see the orbiter from the Earth with naked eyes without using a telescope? Can I see the orbiter? Can I see the orbiter from the Earth? Can I see the orbiter from the Earth? Can I see the orbiter? Can I see the orbiter? Can I see the orbiter? Orbiter from the Earth, without using a telescope, with naked eyes. Orbiter, orbiter. The country launched an orbiter to the space. The country succeeded in launching an orbiter on the day. The country succeeded in launching an orbiter. The country launched an orbiter to the space, and which is expected to orbit the Earth. Tomorrow. The country launched the orbiter. The country launched the orbiter. The country launched the orbiter. The country launched orbiter. How many times do the spacecraft circulate the Earth in the orbit? The Earth orbit. How many times do the spacecraft circulate the Earth in the Earth atmosphere? In the Earth orbit. The spacecraft launched from the Earth yesterday is expected to reach Earth orbit, reach Earth orbit next week. Orbit. The newly launched orbiter is predicted to reach orbit. I cannot understand how the scientists can orbit the spacecraft. I cannot understand how the scientist can calculate so that the spacecraft arrive the Earth orbit. how, how do the scientists orbit the spacecraft? It's beyond the reach of my imagination, understanding. Can I know the detail of how the scientists orbit the spacecraft? Can I know the detail, concise detail of how the scientists orbit the spacecraft? Orbit. The scientist, the team of the space agency succeeded in orbiting the spacecraft. Succeeded in orbiting the spacecraft. Orbit. How many times do the spacecraft orbit the Earth? Orbit the Earth, orbit the Earth, orbit the Earth, orbit the Earth, orbit the Earth. How many times do the spacecraft orbit the Earth? How many times do you know the spacecraft circulates the Earth, orbit the Earth? Do you know how many times the Earth circulate around the Earth? Do you know how many times a spacecraft orbit the Earth? Orbit the Earth. Orbit the Earth. Do you know how many times the spacecraft orbit the Earth? Do you know how many times the spacecraft orbit the Earth? Do you know how many times the spacecraft orbit the Earth? Orbit the Earth. The space agency succeeded in orbiting the spacecraft. Orbiting the spacecraft. The space team succeeded in orbiting the spacecraft. The team, the space agency, space team succeeded in orbiting the spacecraft. Orbiting the spacecraft. The space agency, space team succeeded in orbiting the Earth, orbiting the spacecraft. The space team succeeded in orbiting the spacecraft. Orbiting the spacecraft. It usually takes a couple of days for me to orbit myself in a normal condition. It takes 2 or 3 days until I get back to the normal orbit, which I used to work with. It takes a couple of days or a week at the longest to orbit myself in a normal days after long vacation, after long holidays, after long day offs. It usually takes a couple of days for me to orbit myself in a normal condition after long holidays. It usually takes a couple of days or a week at the longest until I orbit myself in a normal condition after long holidays. I think it can be said to many people. Do you know how many times the spacecraft orbiting the Earth? Do you know how many times the Earth orbits the spacecraft orbits the Earth? And do you know how many times the spacecraft orbits Earth? Orbit Earth, orbit Earth, orbit Earth, orbit Earth, orbit Earth, orbit the 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 Earth. Do you know how many times the spacecraft orbited the Earth? Do you know how many times the spacecraft orbited the Earth? Orbited the Earth, orbited the Earth. Do you know how many times the spacecraft orbited the Earth? Orbit. Do you know how many times the spacecraft orbited the Earth? Do you know how many times the spacecraft orbited the Earth? Do you know how many times the spacecraft orbited the Earth? And do you know how many times the spacecraft orbited the Earth? In 24 hours. Do you know how many times the spacecraft orbited the Earth? As far as I know, the spacecraft orbit 12 times in a day. So I think, as far as I know, they will the morning will reach 12 times to the spacecraft, as far as I know. Do you know how many times the spacecraft orbit around the Earth? Do you know how many times the spacecraft orbit around the Earth? Around the Earth. Do you know how many times the spacecraft orbit around the Earth? Around the Earth. The spacecraft are orbiting around the Earth. The spacecraft are orbiting. The spacecrafts are orbiting. The satellites are orbiting. The spacecraft and satellites are orbiting. Many debris are orbiting around the Earth. In the Earth orbit, many debris, rubbers, and junks are orbiting around the Earth orbit. In the Earth orbit, many debris, junks, and rubbers are orbiting around the Earth. Many debris, junks, and rubbers are orbiting in the Earth orbit. In the Earth orbit. Can I see the satellites orbiting the Earth from the Earth here without using a telescope? Can I see the satellites circulating around the Earth from the Earth with naked eyes without using a telescope? Can I see the satellites orbiting the Earth without using a telescope here? Can I see the satellites? Can I see the satellites orbiting the Earth without using a telescope with naked eyes? Can I see the satellites orbiting the Earth without using a telescope? The satellite is expected to orbit tomorrow. The satellite is expected to be in the orbit tomorrow. The satellite is expected to orbit tomorrow. The satellite is expected to orbit next morning, next Monday. The satellite is expected to orbit tomorrow. The satellite is expected to arrive the Earth orbit. The satellite is expected to arrive the Earth orbit. The satellite is expected to arrive the Earth orbit. The satellite is expected to arrive at Earth orbit. The satellite is expected to arrive at the Earth orbit. The satellites are orbiting. 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 The satellite is expected to orbit. The newly launched satellite is expected to orbit next Monday. The newly launched satellite is expected to arrive the orbit. The newly launched satellite is expected to orbit. The newly launched satellite is predicted to orbit. The newly launched satellite is predicted to orbit tomorrow. The newly launched satellite is predicted to orbit. The newly launched satellite is predicted to orbit. It takes a couple of days for me to orbit after long vacation, after long holidays, after long day offs. It takes time, a week at the longest, until I go back to the normal orbit in which I used to work or study. It usually takes a couple of days or a week at the longest for me to orbit after a long vacation. The newly launched satellite is predicted to orbit next Monday. The newly launched satellite is expected to orbit tomorrow. The good things for you as a technician, you can fix it by buying the junks at a second-hand shop for reasonable prices. Some of the junks can be treasures. We can buy junk products at the second-hand shops. We can buy junks for reasonable price at a second-hand shop. Do you like to buy a junk at a second-hand shop? There are some junks sold at the second-hand shop. There are some junk sold at the second-hand shop. I heard that it is super difficult to stop using a drug for a junkie. Do you know how much percentage, how frequently, how much is the percentage of those going back to the jail by using a drug again? I heard that stopping using a drug is super difficult for junkie. I might be a junkie of studying English. I heard that stopping using a drug is super difficult for a junkie. I used to be a junkie of video games. I used to be a junkie of video games. I used to be a junkie of video games. I played like 10 hours at the longest. I played 10 or 12 hours at the longest. So I used to be a junkie of video games. I used to be a junkie of video games. I used to play 10 or 12 hours at the longest, which I regret now. I should have studied more. I should have studied more. I should have studied at that time, and then I would be better. I might be in a better situation now. I don't know. Or thanks to the mistakes I made in the past, I became better now. I'm not sure. Maybe thanks to the mistakes I made in the past, I could grow. Because without mistakes, we cannot grow. We cannot know. So I think the mistakes I made in the past are good in the long run. The more we make mistakes, the closer we can approach our dreams, goals, and so on. I know the story of the Edison who developed electric bulbs. Electric bulb. He made many mistakes, like 10,000 or 100,000. I'm not sure the number, but he made many mistakes. But he kept researching and finally developed the electric bulb. I think nobody made a mistake more than him, Edison. I think no one made more mistakes than Edison. Well, I'm confident that I made more mistakes than average people. I'm confident. I'm certain that I made more mistakes than average people. I heard the successful people made more mistakes than average people, ordinary people. I read the successful people made more mistakes than average people and went through depressions. I used to be a junkie of video games. Junkie. The word junkie used to be used for frequently when I was a high school student to those to some people as a joke. I heard that it is very difficult to stop using a drug for junkie. Do you know how to remove the debris orbiting the Earth? Debris. After the earthquake, the firefighters were clearing the road of the debris. The city officials are removing the debris on the road. After the completion of the building, we have to remove the debris around the house, around the building structure. The scientists around the world are discussing how to clear the space of the debris orbiting the Earth orbit. The scientists around the world are discussing the ways to remove debris orbiting the Earth. Debris. Rubbles. Debris. Rubble. The scientists around the world are discussing how to remove debris, rubbles, orbiting the Earth. And thanks to the awesome developments by the mankind in the past, we can take advantage of them. We can make the most of them. We can benefit from them. Mankind. Mankind. Humankind. What is the difference between mankind and humankind? The development of the blue LED was a breakthrough for mankind. The development of blue LED was a breakthrough for mankind. The, the development of blue LED, which used to be said impossible to develop within 20th century, made a breakthrough, achieved breakthrough for humankind. The development of blue LED, which was said impossible to develop in 20th century, was a giant leap from humankind. The development of blue LED, which was said impossible to develop in 20th century, is a giant leap for humankind. Mankind. Do you believe that we can travel to the cosmos easily in the future? Do you believe that we can travel to the cosmos easily and with reasonable prices in the future? Do you believe that there are intelligent lives other than the Earth in the cosmos? Do you believe there are intelligent lives other than the Earth in the cosmos? Do you believe there is a intelligent life in other planets in the cosmos other than the Earth? Do you believe there is a intelligent life in other planets except for the Earth in the cosmos? Cosmos. In the quarter report, the sales figures were announced in the executive meeting, which surprised us. Quarter. What is the quarter of the 125? What is the quarter of the 125? What is the quarter of 250? Oh, I like to calculate. Yes, I'm not good at calculating. I'm not good at adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. I'm not good at all of multiplying, subtracting, adding, and dividing. I'm not good at everything. Due to the pandemic, the limitation to the number of customers which are allowed to enter the facility was quartered. Due to the prevention of the infection, the number of customers allowed to enter the facility was quartered from the usual quarter. Due to the recession in the economy, the bonus was quartered in the company. But it's better to get a bonus there. It's better to get a bonus even during the even during the recession. Not many not every employee can get a bonus. Hmm. Hmm. Now removing is popular because we are surrounded by much information which steal our precious time and so on. So removing things will make us more space mentally and physically. So now I use the quarter of the websites which I used to have in the past, which made me more free time and more freedom, both in mentally and both mentally and physically. Removing things is very popular now because we are surrounded by much information, many things, and so on, which are stealing our precious time, freedom, and so on. I think many people ditched many unwanted things in the end of the year, last year, in the end of last year, to welcome the new year, fresh mind. We are thinking to quarter the number of customers allowed to enter the facility due to the pandemic, due to the increasing number of infections. The budget to the company picnic was quartered. The number of tourists was quartered. The number of foreign visitors into the country quartered soon after the pandemic. The number of foreign tourists into the country quartered. The sales figures of the company quartered. The number of members of the association quartered after the corruption. The day when we can travel with a spacecraft might come soon. The day when we can travel with the spaceship might come soon, as early as I don't know, maybe someday in the future. Spacecraft, spaceship, spacecraft, spaceship, spacecraft, spaceship, spacecraft, spaceship, spacecraft, spaceship. Spacecraft, spaceship. Hmm. Hmm. Spacecraft. The day when we can travel with a spaceship might come in the future. Space. MySpace. Did you used to have account in MySpace? Social networking service. Did you used to use a MySpace? Some people tend to take up much space in public places. Some people are inclined to take up much space in public places, stably, aggressively, arrogant, stubborn, arrogant, obstinate, stubborn. Some people are up to take up much space in public places, which I don't like. Space, space. Please fill out the blank space only. Please fill out the blank space surrounded by black line. Okay. There are three sections you have to fill in. Please fill in the blank spaces, blank space in below, blank space below. Please fill in the blank space below. Please fill out the blank space below. Please fill out the blank space below. Hmm. Please fill in the blank space below. Please fill out the blank space surrounded by black line below. Thank you. I don't like to park my car in a narrow space. In a narrow parking space. I don't like to park my car in a narrow space. In a narrow parking space. Now it is normal to space each other. The lines on the floor is to space us from each other. Space us. I can change the space between the letters by the software. When I edit my thumbnail, I adjust the space between the letters. I can space the letters. The lines on the floor are to space the customers to prevent us from getting infected. We were usually set to space each other 1.8 centimeters or 2 meters. Uh, we were usually told to space each other 2 meters or 1.8 centimeters. 1.8 meters, not centimeters. We were often told to space each other about 2 meters. The driving school teacher told me to space a car running in front of me, in front of us. We have to space front car so that we can stop before we crash into the car. We used to space the front car so that we can stop before crashing into the car. The teacher of the school driving school told me to space the front car more. Otherwise, it can be dangerous when the front car stopped suddenly. The teacher of the driving school told me to space the front car just in case, because the car running in front of me might have stopped suddenly, and which end up crashing at the worst. In the worst case. The teacher of the driving school told me to space front car in order to make sure that we can stop before crashing into the car when the car running in front of me stopped suddenly. The teacher of the driving school told me to space the front car more to make sure that we could stop before crashing into the car, just in case. I think spacing each other to some extent is important to make the relation last longer. I believe spacing each other to a certain extent is very important to make the relationship last longer. Because if we are always together, which will affect the relationship. Now it is common to space each other to prevent us from getting infected with coronavirus. Now it is normal to space each other like 2 meters, especially at the cashier. When we wait for the cashier, when we wait for our turn at the cashier, when we wait for our turn at the cashier. Hmm. It is normal for us to space each other, like 2 meters now. We were often told to space each other. 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 I can space the letters by the software. I believe it's important to space each other to a certain extent, to some degrees, to some extent, to make the relationship last longer. The teacher of the driving school told me to space the front car more for safety. The teacher from driving school told me to space the car more for safety. The teacher from the driving school told me to space the front car, to space the front car, to space the front car. The teacher from the driving school told me to space the front car more for safety. The lines on the floor are to space each other. The lines put on the floor at the cashier are to space each other. The lines put on the floor are to space each other. The lines put on the floor are to space each other. The lines put on the floor are to space each other. The lines put on the floor are to space each other. We were often told to space each other 2 meters when we queue. We were often told to space each other when we queued in line. The lines put on the floors are to space each other. The lines put on the floor are to space each other. I usually drive my car spacing the front car. I usually park my car spacing others. I usually drive my car spacing others. Is your room spacious? I think enough. I think I don't need a spacious room. Enough is enough. 6 tatami room is enough for me. 6 tatami room is spacious for me. Enough for me. The hotel was very spacious. I don't use even the space enough. I couldn't use the space enough. And since I was only guest in the onsen facility, I could enjoy the hot spring spaciously. And since I was only guest in the onsen facility, I could enjoy onsen I could enjoy the onsen spaciously. If the onsen facility had been crowded with, packed with guests, I could not have enjoyed entering the onsen. If the onsen facility had been crowded with customers, I couldn't have enjoyed the onsen spaciously, 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 spaciously. If the onsen facility had been crowded with customers, I couldn't have enjoyed onsen spaciously. When I went to Hawaii, such a small turtle was swimming in the ocean spaciously. The benefit of countryside. One of the benefits of the countryside is that we can use something spaciously often. I tried arriving at the train station much earlier to make sure that I can sit on the seat spaciously. Although I don't have much space in the lounge of the guest house, I could use the lounge spaciously this morning. Although I don't have much space at the lounge last night because there were many people, I could monopolize the lounge this morning because I was the only person who was using the lounge this morning. 2-meter spacing is usually set to space each other. 2-meter spacing is usually set to space each other. In order to space each other. Spacing 2 meters is normal in this pandemic. Spacing 2 meters from each other. Spacing 2 meters from each other is common. Spacing 2 meters from each other. Spacing 2 meters from each other. Spacing 2 meters from each other is normal now. Hmm. 2-meter spacing is common to space each other. 2-meter spacing, 2-meter spacing, 2-meter spacing. The teacher pointed out the spacing between the letters of my essays. The professor pointed out the spacing of the letters in my essay. The teacher pointed out the spacing of the letters in my essay. The professor pointed out the spacing of the letters in my essay. spacing, 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 spacing. Spacing. The professor pointed out the spacing of the letters in my essay. Spacing. 2-meter spacing is common to prevent us from getting infected with the virus. Spacing, spacing, spacing. 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 2-meter spacing is common. Now, 2-meter spacing from each other. 2-meter spacing from each other is common now. Spacing, 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 spacing. 2-meter spacing is common now. 2-meter spacing from each other. 2-meter spacing from each other is normal now. Spacing, 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 spacing. I hope the sales figures of my venture business will double. I think everybody will hope to double its sales figures or income. The Prime Minister is planning to double the income of everybody. The Prime Minister is hoping to double the income of everybody. Everybody's income. The Prime Minister is trying to double everyone's income. Double. The foreign tourists doubled in number. The foreign tourists doubled in number. The sales figures doubled in number. The customers into the shopping mall doubled in number. The foreign tourists doubled in number. The foreign tourists into the sightseeing spot doubled in number. Doubled. double. The tourists into the tourist spot doubled in number. The Prime Minister is trying to double everyone's income. The Prime Minister is trying to double the income. Everyone's income. The Prime Minister is trying to double everyone's income. Double everyone's income. The Prime Minister is trying to double Prime Minister's income. What is the double of figure of 5? 10. Tell me the double number of 5. 10. She ate the double number of a double amount of menu, double amount of food. The executives earn the double of my income. The executives earn double income of me. Double income of mine. The executives earn double as much money as me. The executives earn double as much money as mine. The executives earn double as much money as mine. Double decker bus, 2-decker bus. When I went to Hong Kong, I saw double decker bus, 2-decker bus. She ate double amount of food. She ate double the amount of food I ate. She ate double the amount of food that I ate. She ate double the amount of food I ate. And she ate double the amount of food that I ate. And this room is for double room, twin room, double room, twin room. The executives get double the amount of my income. The executives get double the amount of my income. The stock prices will not triple in a day. Nothing will be tripled in a day. The stock prices will not be tripled. The stock prices will not triple in an hour. The stock price will not triple in an hour. The stock price of the venture business tripled over the 10 years. The stock price of the venture business tripled over the 10 years. If I had bought the stock price at the start of the venture business, the stock I would be a millionaire now. If I had bought 1 million yen worth of stock price of the venture business at that time, I might be a millionaire now. If I had bought 1 million yen worth of the stock prices of the venture business at that time, I might be a millionaire now. Because the stock prices became 20 times higher than that price. 20 times as much as the original price. Thanks to the advertisement by the famous YouTuber, the sales of the product tripled. So famous YouTubers have such a strong influence. Famous YouTubers had a strong influence in the industry of the product. Thanks to the effort and advertisement at many places, the market share of the products from the company tripled. The executive members are trying to triple the sales figures of the company. The sales figures of the company tripled. The executive members are planning to triple the sales figures of the company by expanding the business into foreign countries. It's not easy. It's not an easy task to triple your income. The once employee resigned as a salaried worker and started his business as a freelance, ending up earning triple amount of money. The one salaried worker tripled his income as a freelancer. The once employee at the company tripled his income by becoming a freelancer. What is the number of the triple of 5? 15. Please tell me the triple number of 5. 15. Triple number of foreign visitors visited the restaurant. Triple. What is the triple of 5? 15. What is the triple of 10? 13. Triple. Triple. What is the triple of 10? 30. What is the triple of 3? 30. What is the triple of 3? 30. What is the triple of 10? 30. What is the triple of 9? 27. Triple. The executives earn a triple amount of income that I get. The executive members get a triple amount of income, triple income that I get. Some employees get triple amount of income that I get. Some employees get triple amount of income that I get. Some employees get triple amount of income that I get. Although we are in the same industry, some people have triple knowledge of the industry than me. Although we are in the same industry, some of my coworkers have triple knowledge than triple knowledge that I have. 3 times more knowledgeable than me. The well-going company is expected to get triple sales figures this year. The company is expected to get triple sales figures this year. The company is rumored to get triple amount of income, triple sales figures this year compared to the previous year. The company is rumored to get triple income, triple sales figures to the previous year. Have you had a telephone conference with Zoom, Skype, and so on? Have you had a telephone conference, video conference? Have you had a video conference? Have you had a video conference through Zoom? Have you had a video conference? Have you had a video conference? Have you had a video conference? I watched a press conference by the association apologizing for the inconvenience. I sometimes watch a press conference of a company apologizing for the inconvenience. Yes, I've had a telephone conference. Yes, I've had a telephone conference. Yes, I've had a video conference. Yes, I've had both telephone and video conference. Yes, I've had both telephone and video conference. Yes, I've had both telephone and video conference. But I don't feel it comfortable, although it's a big convenience. I need to confer with my parent to decide if I should marry her. But it's my right to decide with whom I marry. It's my right to decide who I marry. It's my decision, and I have the right of deciding whom I marry. I had an opportunity to confer with the same graduates at the event. For OB, I had an opportunity to confer with those who also passed the examination at the practical training. Hmm. I'd like to confer with some people I rely on before deciding the serious things. I'd like to confer with some people I rely on, I have a trust in before submitting the important document, before applying for that, before make the purchase, because it's a big money, it's expensive. So so that I in order to avoid making a mistake, I'd like to confer with some people I have trust in and to get information about the purchase. I'd like to confer with some people who are familiar with the industry before I make a decision, trying to get some information so that I can make a better option, so that I can make better option decision and so on, in order to avoid make a mistake. In order to avoid make a mistake. Mm. I'd like to confer with some people who are familiar with the industry before make a decision. I had a chance to confer with people in the same industry in the event. I could confer with some people in the same field at the event. I had an opportunity to confer with some people in the same industry at the event. At the event, I had an opportunity to confer with some people in the same industry. Mm. I conferred with the members in the same association at the video conference. I conferred with the members in the association of the association. Hmm. I conferred with the same examinees who passed examination at the event to commemorate and celebrate our passing. I conferred with those who passed the same examination at the event to celebrate our pass. I, I conferred with the examinees who also passed the same who also passed examination at the ceremony to commemorate our pass. I conferred with those who also passed examination at the event to commemorate our pass. Why don't you confer with our human resources member? Why not confer with the lawyer? Why not confer with the lawyer? Why not confer with the attorney? Why not confer with the attorney? Why didn't you confer with the attorney? Why didn't you confer with me before making the decision? Why didn't you confer with me before making the decision? Why didn't you confer with me? Why didn't you confer with me before making a decision? I should have. I should have done. I should have conferred with you before making the decision, before I made the decision. I should have conferred with you before making the decision, before I made a decision. I should have conferred with you before I made the decision. The Nobel Prize for Physics for developing blue LED was conferred to 3 researchers. The Nobel Prize for Physics was conferred to the researcher. I hope Grammy Award will be conferred to me in the future, at some point in my life, at some point in my life, at some point in my life, at some point in my life. At some point in my life, I hope I will be conferred the Grammy Award as an artist. This is my biggest dream. I hope Grammy Award will be conferred to me. I hope Grammy Award will be conferred to me. I hope Grammy Award will be conferred to me. I hope Grammy Award will be conferred to me. I hope Grammy Award will be conferred to me. I hope Grammy Award will be conferred to me. I hope Grammy Award will be conferred to me. The Nobel Prize for Physics was conferred to the researcher. The Nobel Prize for Physics was conferred to the researcher. I hope someday the Grammy Award will be conferred to me. I hope at some point in my life the Grammy Award will be conferred to me. I hope tremendous amount of happiness will be conferred to me. I hope tremendous amount of happiness will be conferred to me at some point in my life. It might not come or come, I don't know. I should have conferred with you before I made the decision. I should have conferred with you before I made the decision. I should have conferred with you. I should have conferred with you before I made the decision. and then I could have avoided the mistake. I should have conferred with you before I made the decision. I should have conferred with you before I made the decision, and then I might have been able to avoid the mistake. I hope Grammy Award will be conferred to me. I hope Grammy Award will be conferred to me at some point in my life. We are allowed to use the outside steps in the event of emergency, in case of emergency. In the event of emergency, like fire, we are allowed to use the outside steps. Outside steps. In the event of emergency, please contact us at the telephone number. In the event of emergency, please contact us with the phone number. In the event of emergency, I never failed to contact you. In the event of emergency, who do you rely on? Your mother? In the event of emergency, do you always contact your mother? Are there some events held during the pandemic? Many events were cancelled or postponed during the pandemic. I once pleaded with my parents for studying abroad. I used to plead with my parents for buying me many video games. I many times pleaded with my parents for buying a video game. I frequently pleaded with my parents for video games. I often pleaded with my parents for video games. Did you also used to plead with your parents for video games? Did you also frequently plead with your parents for video games? Yes, I used to beg my parents for video games. Yes, I used to beg my parents for video games. What are you pleading for? What are you pleading for? What are you pleading for? Are you pleading for income? Are you pleading for income? Are you pleading for more income? The accused pleaded not guilty. 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 The defendant pleaded not guilty. The defendant pleaded not guilty. In the end, the defendant pleaded guilty. In the end, the accused pleaded guilty. Pleaded guilty. Pleaded guilty. Plead guilty. Plead guilty. Plead guilty. Plead guilty. Plead guilty. The defendant pleaded guilty. Pleaded guilty. The defendant pleaded guilty. The defendant pleaded guilty. The defendant pleaded guilty. The accused pleaded guilty. The accused pleaded guilty. The accused pleaded guilty. The accused wouldn't plead guilty. The accused won't plead guilty. The accused pleaded not guilty. The defendant pleaded not guilty. The defendant pleaded not guilty. My attorney told me that there is not enough evidence to plead not guilty. My attorney told me that there are enough evidences. There are enough evidences to plead not guilty. My lawyer told me that my lawyer told me that there are enough evidences, proofs to plead not guilty, plead not guilty, plead not guilty. The accused pleaded 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 guilty. The defendant pleaded guilty. My lawyer told me that there was much information and evidence to plead guilty and to plead not guilty. My lawyer told me that there are many evidences to plead guilty of the defendant. The accused pleaded guilty, pleaded guilty. The accused pleaded guilty. The accused pleaded guilty. The defendant pleaded guilty. The defendant pleaded guilty. I hope the pleading will be heard by the human resources. The pleadings from the citizens should be heard. The pleading from the citizens should be heard. The mayor accepted the pleadings from the citizens. Please take the pleadings from the citizens into account. Please take the pleadings from the citizens into consideration. Please take the pleadings of the citizens from the citizens into consideration. Please take the pleadings from the citizens into consideration. Please take the pleadings from the citizens into consideration. My bleeding feeling was obvious from my expression on my face. Bleeding feeling will appear on the face. My bleeding feeling was obvious on my face. My bleeding expression was obvious. My bleeding feeling was obvious on my face. My bleeding feeling was obvious on my face. Bleeding. Please take the pleadings from the citizens into account. Please take the pleadings from the citizens into consideration. Whenever I look back on the days tackling a pile of tasks. I record the hard days. Let's tackle the problem tomorrow. It is said that successful people tackle the most difficult duties in the first place in the day. It is said that successful people tackle the most difficult duties in the first place in a day. It is said that successful people tackle the most difficult duties, tasks in a day, in the first place in a day. I saw the rugby players tackling each other. I saw the animal tackling the tree. I saw the rhino tackling the tree. I know the cow tackling the red flag. I watched a cow tackling the red flag. Where did you buy the tackle? The Kapabashi Shotengai, the Kapabashi shopping street is famous for tackles, like kitchen knife and so on. The Kapabashi shopping street is famous for cutleries, such tackles as kitchen knives and so on for cooking. What kind of tackles do you want? What kind of tackles are you searching for? Are you looking for? Are you seeking? What kind of tackles? What kind of tackles are you searching for, looking for, seeking? There are many tackles sold in Akihabara. There are many tackles sold in Tokyo. There are many tackles in Tokyo. There are many tackles in Tokyo. Tackles in Tokyo. There are many tackles in Tokyo. There are many convenient tackles out there. There are many convenient tackles in 100 yen shop. There are many convenient tackles in 100 yen shop. There are many convenient tackles in 100 yen shop. There are many convenient tackles in 100 yen shop. There are many convenient tackles right now, recently. I don't like mess. With time, the room will be messy, but we can clean it. I try to remove the mess. I try not to be mess. I try not to make my room messy by cleaning regularly. And everyone wants to go out of the mess. Do not make a mess. I don't like the mess, so I regularly clean my room. I don't like the mess, so I regularly clean my room. I don't like mess, so I regularly clean my room. I don't like mess, so I regularly clean rooms. I don't like mess, so I try not to have many things. I don't like mess, so I try not to have many things and try to ditch unwanted things. Don't make a mess. Littering here is a maximum fine of $500. Littering in this facility is subject to maximum fine of $500. Littering here is subject to the maximum fine of 100 million yen. Too much. I made many mistakes. I made many messes. I made many messes. Successful people made more messes than ordinary people. That's why they approached the destination, incredible destination not many people can reach. Successful people, I heard that successful people made many messes. More messes. Made more messes than ordinary people. That's why they succeeded in the business and reached the destination, reached the point where most of us cannot reach, get to arrive at. No one wants to make a mess. No one wants to make a mess, so many people end up not trying, challenging. Nobody wants to make a mess, so many people are afraid of challenging because it has a risk of making a mess. Challenging involves risk of making a mess, so not many people challenge. Challenging means failing or not failing. Challenging involves risk of making a mess. I have made many messes. I made many messes. I made many messes. I made many messes. I have made many messes, and even now, and in the future. But thanks to the mistakes I made, I could learn the lessons so that I won't the same mistakes again, which made me closer to my destination. Who made a mess? While I was away, my pet dog made a mess in my room. Made a mess of the room. The street was made a mess by the participants. The facility was made a mess by the participants. The street was made a mess terribly, dreadfully, severely, tremendously by participants. The street is always be made a mess by the participants, visitors. The street never fails to be made a mess. The street never fails to be made a mess by the participants. The street is always made a mess by the participants. So you can see a pile of garbages on the next morning. The street is always be made a mess by the participants. The street was in a mess after the party. The street was such a mess. The street was in such a mess, in a mess. The street was in such a mess after the party. The street is in a mess. The street is a mess. The street is in a mess My room is now in a mess, so I cannot invite you to my room now, sorry. As soon as I clean my room, as soon as I have cleaned my room, I will invite you to my room. But now I cannot. It's still in a mess. My room is in a mess. My room is still in a mess. My room is still in a mess, so I'm sorry, but I cannot invite you to my house today. Unless you want to enter my room, I can invite you to my house, if you can promise that. But only living room. My room is still in a mess. My room is still in a mess. My room is still in a mess. Many companies were in a mess during the pandemic. Some of them went bankrupt or changed the business to something different. Many companies are still in a mess. Many companies are still in a mess due to the pandemic, or even before the pandemic. I've gone through many situations in a mess, so which made me what I am now. I've gone through many difficulties. I've gone through many situations in a mess, which made me what I am now. Which made me what I am now. I've overcome many situations in a mess, which made me what I am now. In a mess. In a mess. The government helped with some benefits to the industries in a mess during the pandemic. The government helped with some benefits to those in a mess during the pandemic. The government helped us by sending some amount of money to those in a mess. The government sent 100,000 yen to all Japanese citizens during the pandemic once. I was often in a mess. I was frequently in a mess. I was often in a mess. I was frequently 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 in a mess. Let's clean up a mess after the party. The supporters was praised for cleaning up a mess after the game. The supporters were praised for cleaning up a mess after the game. The street is always messed by the participants. Do not mess. The streets are messed up by the participants during the festival. Kids are good at messing rooms. Kids are good at messing rooms. My pet dog is good at messing the rooms. My pet dog is good at messing the rooms. My pet dog is good at messing the rooms. My pet dog is good at messing 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 my rooms. Some kids are good at messing rooms. Who messed? Who messed in the room? Who messed in the room? Who messed in the room? I have messed up all the times. Many times. I have messed up many times. I have messed up in many things. We can try them again. After messing up, we can try it again. We can try it again after messing up. After messing up, we can try it again. After messing up, we can try it again. I've messed up on my examinations. I think I messed up on the examination all the time, which made me study harder every time I took that. I think in the long run it might okay. Might be okay. Because which made me study again, over and over again, time and time again. I've always messed up on the examinations and took the same examinations over and over again, time and time again, which made me study harder. My pet dog always messes up. My pet dog always messes up in my room. My pet dog always messes up in my room. I usually prepare enough in order to avoid messing up. I usually prepare enough too much in order to avoid messing up. I usually prepare too much so as to avoid messing up. Although I cleaned a lot, my room is still messy. Although I cleaned my room a week ago, my room is already messy. Although I cleaned my room a week ago, it's already messy. Although I cleaned my room a week ago, it's already messy. I don't like messy things. I try to throw away unwanted things immediately. I think we should throw away the things which we didn't use for 1 year. I think this way of thinking might be like minimalistic. Are you a minimalist? I might be a kind of minimalist. I might be a sort of minimalist. I don't like messy, so I try to throw away unwanted things immediately. Although I cleaned My room a week ago is already messy. Okay, I will finish speaking here. Thank you for watching. See you next time. See you.